Welcome, everybody, back. Recruiting Community Podcast. We do weekly insights in the form of what we like to think is a pretty pleasant conversation where we connect with leaders, kind of talk about what's top of mind for them, the work that they're doing. If you're actually not on a treadmill and you're actually watching us, you can see we're not actually in the studio. We're at the Unleash event here in Las Vegas. And our friends at Shaker have sort of sponsored the space for us to come in and have some chats with leaders as they go by. And I got to tell you, one of our favorite leaders, who we've got some really interesting stuff to talk about that has gone on in your life recently. Some posts that you've made that are getting a little bit of traction and some attention.
Just cool.
Worthy of that. So we're excited. So if you want to know what's going on in space, CXR.works/podcast for past and future episodes. But let's just jump right in.
Sounds good, Chris.
So Mark, why don't you give kind of an escalator pitch of who is Mark Smith? Why should we be listening to what you have to say? A little bit about where you work, because I don't think a lot of people understand kind of the life-saving work that goes on at your organization that I think many may know the outcome and the work, the products.
Indeed.
But they may not actually realize who Medtronic is. They may have never heard of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. It's good to be here. And thank you to Shaker. The decor, this is going to be on video. It's pretty homely. Yeah, great rug. So credit goes to Team Shaker for that. Mark Smith, 23 years in TA now. So a long time. I feel like I've acquired the ability to say I've got some wisdom. I've led internationally. I'm from England originally. I live in the States now. I've worked on both sides of the fence. We were talking earlier about this. Randstad and the Deco, the first years of my career. So I got to see what it is like to look after a client. So a very client-focused lens. I was groomed by my leadership team to be client-fixated. And that was essentially the business focus. How can we help drive this business? Obviously, growth on P&L, but they're symbiotic, I guess. And then I went on the inside, which was to Caterpillar, my client. I became head of UK TA, and then I grew up to be head of EMEA TA, so Europe, Middle East, Africa. And then I moved to the company Amazon, not the location. And then I had about 18 months at Amazon. And forgive me, Amazonians, but that's about 5 years in, like, dog years in Amazon years. So
there's a multiplier.
18 months, yeah, that's where the gray commenced. And then I had a call from an old colleague at Caterpillar, and then I joined SC Johnson as Senior Director Global TA. So that was my movement out of automotive manufacturing into CPG. So great brands like Ziploc, Windex, etc. I don't have to sell these anymore, but great brands. And then after a while, I needed something different. So I took a few calls, and Kraft Heinz I moved to become the Exec Director of TA. Some great brands again there. They're easy to think of. And after a couple of years, my wife and I didn't particularly settle in Chicago. And as a consequence of that, she and I wanted to explore different places. And then Minnesota came calling, and a company called Medtronic. So Medtronic are 100,000 people. We have been around for 75 years. We should have a zoom in moment on this as well. But 75 years, we're celebrating our 75 years right now. We're actually approaching 76. So we've got a lot of experience and technology within our organization. We're actually fragmented into different groups, but we're well known for the first ever pacemaker. But we also do a lot more in terms of diabetes, med surgical. We do deep brain stimulation which would help people that suffer from Parkinson's. So we cover an array of conditions. And as you say, I think a lot of people, when they have an ailment or a condition, it's very personal, it's very private, it's very sensitive. And with all due respect, when we pick up a bottle of ketchup, we may think of the brand. When somebody wants to stay alive, they're thinking about the mechanics, the pacemaker, not necessarily which manufacturer it is. So even when you have a consumer, which is the patient, you've got to forgive them for wanting to really focus on the condition recovery. So, we're also an organization that's not jumping to start to sponsor Super Bowl or the World Cup. That would of course be great, but we would rather put our research dollars, into not so much into research talent, but also researching how we can save lives of patients. So it means that we have to operate differently in terms of how we entice people. I think once we get people's attention with our mission-driven focus to alleviate pain, restore health, extend life, and the cool stuff we do is hooked. People are hooked, but That's me. Yeah. So I think people should listen to me.
Well, yeah, we got
Just generally.
Yeah.
As a demand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I absolutely agree. That's why you're here. I think so. What you say is really important because I think there are a lot of organizations that are kind of in the same boat. They're just brands that you have never heard of, but that just do phenomenal work. And it's the scale that you guys do the work at Medtronic is just really, really impressive.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And I've been spoiled because those brands like Caterpillar, they get this great brand because of the boots. So it's like, no, but I'm glad you heard of us. But it's the trucks, and people know the yellow products. Amazon's pervasive. Kraft Heinz, A.C. Johnson had these house of brands.
Yeah.
Whereas Medtronic, I got lucky, and the brand recognition, according to my friends in corporate communications, is a range of 3 to 4 out of 100. So it's, let's say, best case scenarios.
Okay.
4 out of the general public of 100 would know who we are, what we do.
Oh, wow.
But I think a lot of that, I would imagine maybe they've just looked at the words Medtronic, electronics, medical. So I wonder, I still would love to look at the data a little bit more, but
yeah.
I would say from my own studies, when I told friends in the UK and Chicago, I've got this job, it was like 1 out of 10 knew who Medtronic were. So we're not like Apple or Starbucks or Walmart, and they're in the like 99 out of 100. It's kind of concerning who's that one person that, so sheltered life.
Yeah. Well, look, you had a recent life event.
Yeah.
Right. I'd love to talk however you're comfortable. Talk about that a little bit, because that seemed to have sparked a post that you made on LinkedIn that got quite a bit of traction.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting read.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. So my tree cutting services days are now over. Just to be clear, I'm now exclusively a TA. Last August, I was with my wife in the yard helping out. This is all her fault. Clearly. No, I'm joking. But it's not I offered to help. And I was cutting branches, and it was the old adage of, the complacency kicks in the last 5 minutes of doing something, whether you're driving home. And I was in the last 5 minutes of cutting trees and branches. And I thought, I'm going to go for this next one. And so I fully extended my ladders, pointed on the tree. And my foot was on the 9-foot marker, and I'm 6 foot. So my head was 15 foot high off the ground, and the ladders went right in slow motion for me.
Oh, man.
And I swung around to try and catch the tree or bear hug it or something crazy. And I spun around and actually fell on a rock. So I tore my ACL, I broke my arm, I had teeth fall out, I had a nasty gash on my head. I blacked out. I was unconscious, and like a boxer, after being hit really, really hard, I was stumbling around. Like my feet weren't working. It was a real. I've enjoyed bouts of judo, jiu-jitsu, boxing. I've never been hit as hard as that boulder.
Yeah, I bet.
Hit my head, and as a consequence, I sort of trying to walk through our moment here as well. Sorry, we need bouncers to stop these. People. So I had a concussion, which was a warning. And I didn't know, that's, there's different types of concussion. There's more severe, there's more mild. Our class man is mild, and it's a traumatic brain injury. But as a consequence, where I hit my head is the area of the occipital lobe, which is where one receives the data, receives visual information. I'm sure like a neuroscientist is going to question me right now. Right? You're wrong.
I don't think there are any neuroscientists at Unleashed today, but I could be wrong.
But then in my network might now I'm in the medical sector. But yeah, so the visual part was really tough. So I couldn't watch TV. I opted to reading books, like the book in front of us. It's the soft pages. It felt like on my eyes, it was soft.
Oh, wow.
I could read. Whereas neurologists were saying you need to measure it. So I was doing like 30 minutes, take an hour break, doing 30 minutes, but I couldn't do a Zoom. I'd go dizzy, faint, nauseous, and I couldn't multitask. So as a consequence, I've had to, hence the idea of a book title.
Yeah.
I had to really focus on being present, and I've had to change the way I work. So I read a vast array of productivity books, from the Compound Effect to the one we have in front of us, which is probably the best, by Michael Hyatt, Free to Focus. And just to learn, help me as I navigate this situation where I have somewhat of an impediment.
Yeah.
I can't take on vast arrays of meetings anymore. I can't see as many people in a moment. Even a day like today, I'm probably going to have to cut short because it aggregates, it culminates, and it gets very disorientating and dizzy. And it results in nauseous, headache, sleepiness, and it all around just a feeling of pain in the head. So I've had to adapt how I work. And honestly, as a silver lining, it's, I mean, I've read like recently in the last few years, like from James Clear, Atomic Habits, to Jim Quick, Limitless. Both of them actually had incidents involving their brain, and where one hit the head on a radiator, Jim Quick when he was 9-year-old, and James Clear, I think when he was a youngster, there was a baseball bat incident around his head. And they had to operate in different ways. And I feel an empathy or a connection because where I'm at, because I'm having to, like them, adapt. And they had a younger age, and now they've made wonderful books and careers, probably millionaires.
I'm seeing a little bit of
maybe one day.
Okay.
Maybe one day. I'm not looking for certainly another career, but I took much comfort and learnings from these great writers, and so I've learned a lot about really being smart. Not this smart from an IQ, but being smart about what you do, how you do it.
I mean, it's got to go, and I obviously it probably goes without saying, and I hate to oversimplify, but I feel like this ripples into every facet of your life.
I've adopted an approach where I use my time in a different way. Before, pre-fall, I don't want to say this, post-fall and pre-fall. Pre-fall, I would have numerous meetings, like 12, 13, 14 a day.
Sure.
And I would just be multitasking. I recall, respectfully to people, I apologize, but being on the phone, sending a ping on Teams or a text, and just being kind of omnipresent.
That's most of us.
Yeah.
That's most of us every day.
Yeah. And I've learned that because I wasn't too sure how this construct being TBI, the traumatic brain injury, is going to last, I feel I'm going to have to figure out ways. So I took to reading. Because I couldn't watch like TV. I wasn't able to drive. I wasn't really able to work. I had about 6 to 8 weeks off work full time. And shout out to Atty, my boss, who's extreme, Matt Walter. They're really supportive. And Jeff Martha as well, our chairman and CEO, all reached out and were very thoughtful and kind about it. And that's a great time to work for a healthcare company that really cares about patients. I was a patient. And so I think how I've had to do is put limits in my schedule. So I was just thinking as I was saying that it's actually putting those limits to create capacity and scope. Whereas before I didn't have that give in my schedule. Whereas now I think I'm blessed to have support from Christy Hendrickson, also another shout out. Yeah. And Christy has been extremely helpful as my support to schedule, like I say, generally no more than this number of meetings a day, and X number, I'm not going to name it actually. And we've got to prioritize. So I include her as almost like a mini chief of staff into what's priority. I've got to be selfish. So I'm much more selfish, and I'm more focused on the prize. Mm-hmm. And if anything, it's zoomed in as much as you hear me talking very verbose, but so this is ironic, but cutting the waffle with the business and getting straight to how can we help the business be successful, and not wasting our time moaning, bemoaning. It's just get shit done. That's another article. I've read it. We got to why are we here? We're here for a company to change the shape of patients. And I think if through this, I'd say, well, I'm going to be leaner, but we also need to have a leaner, more focused attitude as a team in terms of these are our principles, these are our pillars, these are our priorities. A lot of P's, and we eat peas as well. It's just keeping focus. And so this book in particular, Michael Hyatt, Free to Focus, there's some great tips in there around. I should be on commission as well. I need to
little something. There's a book code at the bottom of the screen now. I
know. So it's really like, some kind of donate to me page. But there's some good tips there about like automate. What can you automate? Mm-hmm. What can you delegate? What can you eliminate? Some great tricks in that book in terms of stopping the amount of notifications you get as well. And I'm at the mercy to me, not of others that are in my world.
Do you find, God, I can't believe I'm saying this, it's a terrible joke, but you've now got sort of this touchstone, if you will, right? Where you're having to make really tough decisions about your time. and be super guarded. And it's great you've got the support all the way to the table, right? To be this guarded about your time. Are you finding that you go back to that touchstone and it's really driving your productivity or driving relationships, increasing relationships with the teams as well, I would imagine?
This new approach that I've took, I'm ahead. I'm much more diligent with to-do lists.
Yeah.
I'm ahead of my schedule. I'm on top. So it's brevity, the brevity of moments and keeping focused on the agenda.
Yeah.
But I'm quite, you see me now, I'm quite, I hope, authentic and me and real and all those things. I think my biggest challenge or fear was becoming less available, bit of a dick, because it's so important.
Yeah.
But I have messages, even coming to this event at Unleash, God bless all the sponsors and members. I feel they've got to determine an ROI of being here with their models, but I've had about 50 to 60 reach outs. If you got 10, 15 minutes, but if I said yes to all of them, I wouldn't be here.
Sure.
I won't be learning. And I'm having to be selfish now. So that's why this is a priority. I wanted to meet CareerXroads allies of ours and you and Jerry and Bob, so I wanted to make sure that I had some time with you guys. I'm speaking in a moment and I'm on a panel later.
Yeah.
So I want to be in moments that matter to me. So I think there's an element of selfishness and also to your point about my life that come Friday, I have fried. Like I'm more fried than normal.
Yeah.
So my Friday meetings is less because that is actually a good time. I'm not effective. I'm not as smart in meetings. So Fridays are like just needs must meetings I would attend. But generally that's my time to catch up and to almost slow down ready for my weekend and my wife so that I can start to restore some mental capacity and capability.
Yeah, there's nothing, as a younger leader, I don't think there's anything inherently natural about if I have less meetings and if I spend less time with this or with that, I'll be a better leader or I'll know more, I'll have more of an enriched viewpoint of these things. But like when we talk to folks who have gone through these things, when we read books like Brevity or like Free to Focus, or you've named quite a few in there, like Atomic Habits, and really honing in on this is my mission statement, this is my North Star. It does exactly that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it should though. It seems like I should have 10 more meetings to be 10 times as productive.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to work that way.
So true. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying I do that. I'm the guy who still has 15 meetings.
I can help.
I'm a hot mess by Tuesday.
One-to-one coaching on this. Yeah, I feel if some way, because of the injury, I felt thrust into it.
Yeah.
But I feel also, when some people say, they're like, we're worried and concerned, is this ever going to go away? And honestly, I've seen much worse injuries on much smaller heights.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely grateful to be, in my head for 15, 20 minutes, I thought, this is it. How embarrassing. This is how I die. Yeah, it falls out of a tree. So annoying. And I was saying it. I was calling myself all sorts of British names, which my friends would know. Shaking my head, I was thinking, this is how I die. But that when I come from that very dark mindset to actually, and I always think back to that fall, in my head, I wasn't present. I was thinking about hosting vendors like Paradox were with me the next day.
Oh, wow.
I had team members from Boston, Australia with me. I was thinking about them. And it's not their fault either, but it is me. I wasn't present to the fact that I hadn't secured the ladder.
Yeah.
It was I own that, and that tree and the branch is actually still hanging.
Are you going to leave it?
Yeah.
The whole tree?
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. A lot of my friends are really sadistic. They're like, when are we going to take that ever down?
Yeah.
When's that going to go down? And you know what? It's not like a territorial dispute. Like the tree's not, there's no blood
mad at the tree.
I'm not the tree, I'm a tree hugger. I tried to hug the tree, but it was me. I was cutting the thing. I started the fight, he knocked me out.
I hadn't thought of it like that. You did start picking up the tree.
I mean, I kind of deserved the blow. So no issue here. But the tree, I walked to that tree most days just to be grateful, actually. It's become almost, so I'm going to be sad in some ways when it falls off, but maybe there'll be some other cathartic moment. It's a spiritual blessing or something. But yeah, I savor what happened in some ways. I know a lot of people say that, but it was such a huge inconvenience. I mean, having a cast, having PT, having to do PT every day and having dental work. it was painful. The amount of work I failed on in terms of I wasn't catching up on time. But in hindsight, I've become a much more powerful leader. So for it.
Well, and Mark, I'm gonna tell you, like you're gonna talk about, you maybe think you didn't have a choice, you had to adjust, you had to make these changes. But I have to tell you, like, I think you had a choice, and I think you could have fought this, and I think you could have handled it different. I just think it speaks volumes to the type of leader and the type of person that you are, that you're embracing this and doing what you can do with it, and having an outcome here that makes you more productive, more connected. And I applaud it, and I applaud the fact that you're so guarded with your time, and I'm super grateful that you gave us some of it.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
I appreciate that.
Look, we had other things to talk about, but what is David Letterman? David Letterman does that. Fine.
I like that. It's authentic. It's authentic.
Yeah, let me ask you. I am going to ask you this question: What is, if you were going to write a book?
Yeah.
If you're going to write a book about, we're going to cheat about the state of the space. Right? Just the state of the industry, something TA leaders should be looking out for. Yeah. What would the title, do you think, is sort of that book? Kind of what's going on in the space?
Before the title, I'd say, and I'll probably lead towards the title. I'll create a title, but I've been in various meetings, even being here, and there's been a lot of discussions around AI in particular.
Yep. And
there's a lot of sound bites that's coming along with this, and I think there's a lot of BS as well with this as well. I think that there's this point of discussions around taking the team with you, have the leaders there, have a leadership leader, have hackathons. This is normal. That's called collaborations. Whether it's AI or a new regulation or a new workday, new government, it's you collaborate. So you're collaborating around something new and different. Is my view with this. I think that the piece is missing, and I think the same with RTO as well. I hear a lot of discussion around RTO, hybrid or remote or flex, all these things, and I think there's the piece here around you've also got to work hard. So if I had a book, it would be around probably towards the employees, the candidates, is work fucking hard. We'll probably go to school. But I don't think you might defeat that, but work really hard.
Yeah.
I've worked really hard. When I see the great talent, they've worked really hard. They're not moans. They've not been over-focused on the feelings. They've been really focused on getting great work done. So I think in a lot of these moments I've been involved with, and hence why I walked out of the session earlier, it's just a lot of pontification and waste. We're talking about something that either is not going to go away, or we're just codifying in new words what we already know. Let's collaborate. But my biggest advice to people right now is don't expect life for free, and you got to work really hard. If you want to achieve something, whatever that something is, just work hard. Simple.
I love it. I have to tell you, my own, as I kind of age in this space, and going on almost 30 years, and I'm now in my 50s, I have become such a fan of people who master their craft, who lean all in on. So this idea of influencers and friggin', cool kids and all of that, it's just noise.
Yep, agree.
And I just want to talk to people like you who are just leaning in and just master the work and have a passion for doing that work.
Yeah,
I would read your book.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so the spin question at the end here. We do this also.
Oh, cool.
Present company excluded, because that's the cheat answer.
Yeah.
Who gets your first signed copy of the book?
Parents.
Well done.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
My parents. Yeah. They're my first teachers. My first managers, my first director, my first CEOs. They taught me. So their codes, their learnings, their teachings put me on the path. So it would make sense for them. Yeah.
Oh man, you're a good man, Charlie Brown. I love it.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Look, you can catch past episodes and the ones that are ahead at cxr.works/podcast. I want to thank Shaker for giving us a space to sit down and have a chat, and we'll see everybody next week.